Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is our Prophets of Awakening. This is our Hebrew Israelite Males Advanced Bible Study for uh, Tuesday night, 20th of July, 2021. My main topic going to be the transatlantic slave trade and is it biblical? So that's later on in the lesson. So I'm asking everybody to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Say this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Torah and the Tanakh. Shalom and welcome everybody. So we're gonna do our moment of silence and pertaining to Yahweh, Lord of Hosts, and all that they are doing to bring about our deliverance. So we're gonna do a prayer and the songs and the current events. Oh Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, seeking our face and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee, as thy servants David and Solomon and Samuel and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad, for you possess the power to turn us. For we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, keep your commandments and your testimony, the statutes with all our heart and our soul, to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon us and hear our plea. Hear and do, O Lord. Hide not thy face from us, for we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay, I'm going to do a little song right quick. So I'm going to read Psalms 50. It says, God is judge. The mighty God, even the Lord, has spoken and called the earth from the rising of the sun to the going down thereof. Out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, God hath shined. Our God shall come and shall not keep silent. A fire shall devour before him, and it shall be very tempestuous round about him. He shall call to the heavens from above and to the earth, that he may judge his people. Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice, and the heavens shall declare his righteousness. For God is judge himself. Shelah. Hear, O my people, and I will speak, O Israel, and I will testify against thee. I am God, even thy God. I will not reprove thee for the sacrifices or the burnt offerings to have been continuously before me. I will take no bullock out of thy house, nor he goat out of thy fold. For every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle upon 1,000 hills. I know all the fowls of the mountains, and the wild beasts of the field are mine. If ye were hungry, I would not tell thee, for the world is mine, and the fullness thereof. Will I eat the flesh of bulls, or drink the blood of goats? Offer unto God thanksgiving, and pay thy vows unto the Most High. And call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me. But unto the wicked God hath said, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth, seeing thou hatest instruction, and castest my word behind thee, when thou sawest a thief, being thou consented with him, and hast been partaker with adulterers. Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit. Thou saidst and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thine own mother's son. These things hast thou done, and I kept silent. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself, but I will reprove thee, and set them in order before thine eyes. Now consider this, ye that forget God, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Who offereth praise glorifies me, and to him that ordereth his conversation aright will I show the salvation of God. That's Psalms 50, and it's God is judge. Psalm of David.
Hey, Leonard, can we go back to verse, I think it's 5?
Okay.
Can you give some explanation with 50 and 5?
Okay. To gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice.
What is that sacrifice?
That's a sacrifice keeping his covenant and also the uh, the foreskin, circumcision. It's all
Okay.
incorporated in the covenants.
Gotcha. So basically just keep law, statutes, commandments
Right, right,
in the land of this captivity.
right.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay. Anybody got any current events? Okay. Yeah, I was telling you about this. How they be portraying this little red-headed kid all over the place, and nobody really peeping game on it. I'm gonna show you this right here. Just something to just ponder on, keep it in your head. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm seeing things in my head like little sparks firing off, and it's not until the very last moment that those sparks tell me what on earth they mean.
I've never encountered anyone like this. He absolutely blew my mind.
To scientists, this man is a gold mine, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
This could be the linchpin that spawns off a new field of research.
Why are they all so excited?
Genius. It's +2
Daniel Tammet claims that since he was 4 years old, he's been able to do huge calculations in his head. So, in August 2002, we dropped by, armed with a calculator.
And you can't see this calculator that I've got here, can you?
We first asked Daniel to multiply 37 by itself, 4 times.
Okay, 37 to the power of 4.
See his head, don't?
One million. Yeah. 874,161. Amazing. Just to make sure that people say, well, perhaps you just know a few of these off by heart. Let me just choose another one.
Next, we asked him to divide 13 by 97.
.1340206. That's as far as my calculator goes. Brilliant. 185,567. You're carrying on.
I'm carrying on. Do you want me to stop or?
How many points can you do it to?
100, nearly 100. At this point, we borrowed a computer that gave us the answer to 32 decimal places.
Okay, 0.13402061567.
As he went on, every single number was correct. And he even surpassed the computer.
4, 6, 3, 9, 1, 7, 5, 2, 5. You've reached the end of the computer. It's all 100%. Amazing.
So you say, why am I showing you this? I'm showing you all the when I told you how the angels came down and slept with women. You got angelic being, which is a supernatural being. He got all these supernatural powers. So when they had a kid, being the kid, you're gonna see some of those power. You're gonna see characteristics of that. But the main thing is that angelic DNA is not gonna mix properly with that with the human DNA. And the number one result is, like I told you, homosexuality. So we're gonna see all that in this right here. Like I said, look at his mouth too. But we're gonna keep going. But like I said, see his red head. But he got this one thing right here. He can do all this. What he's doing is he can see those numbers. That's the reason why he's doing his fingers like that. He can see the numbers. And he actually touching them like you would touch a computer screen, or keyboard.
When you're pointing,
and so if that's happening now, this is what was going on with them giants. They all of them had different type of unnatural characteristics that they got from their forefathers, the angels.
To the table,
yeah, they fall
shapes with your fingers. What's going on there?
I'm seeing the numbers, but I'm not seeing them straight. I'm seeing pictures, shapes, and patterns. Almost like a square, like the texture of water, drops, ripples almost, like something reflective. It's something you can look for, almost metallic, like a bubble, with a half cloud, a bit like a flash.
It sounds preposterous, but if it's true, it blows away scientific theory.
Fast forward a little bit. I'm just going to go through this.
5, 7.
Religious, quiet recitation of numbers. It's mesmerizing.
5, 6, 7, 0, 9, 1, 1, 0, 5, 1, 7, 2, 1, 0, 2, 8, 7, 4, 8, 1, 9, 9, 0.
After 5 hours and 9 minutes, Daniel is nearing the finish line. His recall has been flawless.
3, 5, 8, 7. Finished. Yeah. It's gobsmackingly brilliant.
Brilliant, yes. But does this mean that Daniel could also have learned by heart thousands of different calculations? Or does he, as he claims, have some strange power to see the answers in his head? His childhood holds a dramatic clue. One of 9 children brought up in East London, Daniel claims that he's been able to do massive calculations since he was only 4.
I had quite a severe seizure as a very small.
See, that's part of the characteristics. So Julius Caesar, he was known for having those seizures, and they would keep him. They had a guy that followed him everywhere he went. So when he have a seizure, they wished him away before they didn't want people to see that. And so they turned that into, like I was telling you about the kids with Down syndrome, they done made that into that's holy. It's like this here, this right here, this is actually defects, but they're making it's holy, as far as they're concerned, but it's actual defects. And these are the same things, these defects right here from the angelic being mixing with humans is same defects that JC was supposed to addressing. That the Lord of Hosts and Yahweh had nothing to do with. So keep going.
Child.
So he had a seizure.
And a diagnosis of epilepsy was made.
See that? That's a big sign of where they came, his origin.
His childhood fits seem to have changed something in his brain.
It's really from that time that I started to see pictures in my mind, images started to form.
Intuitively, Daniel also began to perceive the patterns within numbers. Cases like this are extremely rare, yet that.
Right, so you see that, how you can see all characteristics in him. Keep going.
So he likes to see things change so that he can draw something new.
How is this remarkable boy seeing the world? It would be fascinating to know, if only he could tell us.
All of a sudden, he's remarkable.
31 to the power of 6.
Daniel's jet lag is wrecking his concentration.
Yeah, and so so notice his name is Daniel too. But I was showing you that he's like I think 21, 22, somewhere up in there now. So I was just showing you that so you can see those characteristics. And then, like I said, all those characteristics there, and he read in it. But we look over all that, but all those characteristics right around us, and they're telling us that we didn't come from where they came from. They came from a different background than we did.
Hey, Leonard, in that family picture, there was a couple of the family members that was redhead too.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, and it's not a coincidence. That's in Britain. Like I was telling you about, that's Esau. He stole the land of Israel from Jacob, and then in 70 AD when he was kicked out, they went into Europe. That's the Saxons, which is Isaac's sons, but that's the fake Israel that went into Europe. And like I said, you see the characteristics of them right here. They're not Israelites. Okay.
Hey, Leonard.
Okay.
Hey, that was something I was going to mention last night, but I didn't get to it. Are you guys aware that actually when I went to my one of my doctor's appointments, you have to fill out this paperwork that now they have where it shows where and the guy talked about it last night, yesterday, that in order to be classified as white, he has to be from Europe or North Africa.
Okay.
And they're saying that's the only places the white person can be considered as a pure white person, Europe and North Africa. But it used to be just European, but now they added North Africa to it now.
Right. Yeah, because they're trying to turn North Africa white. That's why.
Mm-hmm. And where Egypt and all these areas they're trying to, they switch from being in the East, now Middle East,
right.
And the Egypt is no longer in Africa because of Suez Canal and all, whatever you call that mess. But yeah, that's made me think about, you was talking about their location. Now they're changing it.
Right. That's to go along with all the lies they've been told. They turning Africa into supposed to be land of the Europeans, but we know better than that.
What is every 10 to 15 years they change the makeup?
Right.
In the history.
Right. And then what justifies it? They think it used to work back in the day was when they came through there, they lighted all that area up. Everybody is not as dark as they was back in the day because they came through there and raping the women and just
what they call whited it out.
Yeah, they whited it out. Right, exactly. So yeah. Anybody else got any questions? We just opened up for some questions right here, and I got a little video that's got to do with it's two things I want to deal with. Is this let me see what it is. It's okay.
Yeah, I got a question for you. While along the way, this question was asked to me today. Since we are who we are and we study what we study, how does salvation come into it? My explanation is that's a Christian concept, a Christian term,
right,
to invite JC into it. And the second question was, based off your studies, where do you guys fall? And as far as if you're going to go to heaven, there's a heaven, there's going to be a hell. Where do you guys fall? And you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I can go back and talk to the person. But my comment was that we are already His chosen people.
Right.
And the only way, basically, for as a metaphor, we don't get our ticket punched to go to heaven is to not follow the laws and the Torah. And we got to study to show ourselves approval, just like in Deuteronomy, where you're not going to know who you are. You have to go and seek and find and relearn who you are, and then who I am, and where you fall in your life as to how you're supposed to serve. And my comeback was you're already a chosen select people. Now you got to study, show yourself approval to Him, and He will know that you are sincere through your thoughts, actions, and your deeds, meaning that you are studying and learning and sharing and teaching.
Right, exactly.
So that was kind of like close to it, because you got anything to add to that? I want to that I can share.
Well, salvation only means that to return. We're gonna return to Him. That's why He comes every time. It's like David. I mean, like Joseph. When Joseph was he sent Joseph ahead to Egypt, and then knowing that a famine was coming. And then when the famine came, Joseph saved his Israel. Those 70 souls they came to Egypt, and the only way they were saved was because He had sent Joseph there earlier. So we over here, we've been cast out of our homeland. We're not keeping we're not living in our culture. So the Lord of hosts had to come and save us. That's what salvation is. He's bringing us back to our culture.
Yeah, but the way salvation is taught is that Savior is JC.
Right. It's different. There's a whole nother salvation.
Yeah, and that's what I was elaborating on. That we don't fall into that JC salvation stuff.
Right. So it's like redeemed. Redeemed is a better word, because we've been kicked out. We've been kicked out of our culture, kicked away from our land. We're not dealing with our God, our strong one, and we have to be redeemed, which is the same as saved. We have to be redeemed, which means brought back to our homeland, given our understanding back, our knowledge of who He is, and pick our culture up.
Okay, so it's
nobody going to heaven.
So it's the salvation from ours, and then their salvation for theirs.
Right. And then our salvation, when you go to what our culture is, He says that which all this stuff been in place. They just came when they came and hoodwinked our scriptures and everything. They put a twist on it, but the stranger was always able to come in.
Mm-hmm.
But he got to come in through the Israelites, and he got to come in, and he got to accept our God and keep our laws, statutes, and our judgments. Uriah is the example.
And actually, it weren't some of the giants who chose to be who were circumcised, and
yeah, that's what David. You're right. You're right.
Okay, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, he married Bathsheba.
Okay.
Yeah, so it always been there. There was no, was no such thing as Israel had to fall away, and then the church come in. Now that was all that stuff was already in place when you write the divine word.
Mm-hmm.
Ruth is another one, Leonard.
Yeah, Ruth. Right. Exactly. She was saved.
Mm-hmm.
Ruth was saved, which means she was redeemed by Boaz.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay. But yeah, that's what then I think I'll use that redeemed. I like that.
Right.
But okay, then I'm going back mute.
So I'm gonna give you another example there right quick before we move forward. So that's a hot topic. So I'm in Deuteronomy 28. 28 and 68. So it says, and the Lord shall bring thee again into Egypt in ships, by the way in which I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. There thou shalt be sold unto thy enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall, that word supposed to be, originally was redeem you. They put buy you, but it's no man will redeem you, because we under the curses until they up. Then we know the God of hosts coming. And the plan that he got, he's gonna redeem us.
And the reason also part of that portion was asked to me, it was because a bunch of that's a big question that's being asked
Right.
me by a lot of sisters, not the men, but more the sisters, because back in the day and still today, there's always more women in the church than there is men. So if I'm going to leave what I know in my comfort zone of what I know, what guarantees did I have? Because we have the false perception of JC salvation. So what can you guys assure that I am going to get to heaven and get to that glory land?
Right. Exactly.
So that was the question and stuff. So that might be one of your lessons.
Okay. Yeah.
You can see it see it on YouTube and be able to pull it.
Okay. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, just FYI, the word buy in Deuteronomy 28:68, it translates to redeem in the concordance. So
exactly.
Yeah, when you look it up in the concordance, it does mean to redeem.
Say that again. Which word again, Andrew?
Buy.
Buy.
Yeah, B-U-Y.
Right. 68. Deuteronomy 28, 68.
Yeah.
Okay.
70:69 in the concordance.
Okay. Thank you, brother.
Mm-hmm.
So it says Christians today think everybody's, including Esau and Japheth, is strangers. The stranger was always 6-day man and other Shemites. Exactly. You're right. Appreciate that. Right. So that's thinking like a Hebrew, thinking right. So yeah. So so just on that same note about the buy thing, when you go back and like we went over in different classes and different videos who Zerubbabel is. So when Cyrus came out to make the proclamation for him to go back after the 70 years, that was the purpose of him giving Zerubbabel all the gold and silver. That's the reason why he listed all that, because he used that when he got back there to buy his brothers, redeem them back. Because if you go back to the story, Sandbag and all of them with them Edomites and those Ishmaelites and Moabites had the remnant that was left there, had them under subjugation, and had tricked them off like they did with us, had us tricked off to as if we was livestock, and they had purchased them. So when you go to Nehemiah, then that's when Nehemiah and Ezra came back, that's what they was doing. He came up there, thinking that they didn't have the money they needed to redeem them, but he had the money, because that was the purpose of him having Cyrus to bring his treasure out and get him all that gold and silver that they had. And that's the whole purpose of us when he says we're gonna leave here with great substance. It's for that. It's for where we're going. We're gonna need it when we get where we're going. Yeah. Okay. So, like I said, I had two things.
Hey, Leonard, I got one question myself before you get into your spiel. Hey, can we go to Zechariah 2, 8 through 13? My question is, I know Zechariah is speaking in there, and the Lord of hosts is present there, but it appears to be a third entity. I'm just trying to figure out, is that Gabriel? Starting at that, I guess you could actually start that, the 8th verse.
Zechariah chapter 2?
Yeah, chapter 2 and 8.
Okay, it says, for thus saith the Lord of hosts, After the glory have he sent me unto the nations which spoil you, for he that toucheth you touches the apple of his eye. For behold, I will shake the heavens and earth. So verse 8 says, "For thus says the Lord of hosts." Zechariah talking. You understand it, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So when you understand the order, I was telling you about, it says, and the word of the Lord came unto me. So Yahweh gave this to Michael, and Michael brought it to Zechariah.
Okay.
So then Zechariah coming to the people and he telling them, "Thus says the Lord of hosts." What the Lord of hosts told him. See that? So it says, Zechariah talking, "For thus says the Lord of hosts, after the glory have he sent me." So Lord of hosts sent him. Yahweh sent Michael, Michael sent him. Then he said, "Sent me unto the nations which spoil you, for he that toucheth," so there's anybody, strangers, whatever, people out there.
Right. That's the way I take that. Uh-huh.
He that toucheth you touches the apple of his eye. That's Michael's eye.
Michael's eye. I got okay.
Hey, Leonard. Sorry
Okay.
to cut you guys off, but where you had to step away from my my desk because we got our Esau family like to walk by my yard and let their dogs pee and poop in our yard, so I had to go check somebody.
Okay.
So, you know. So what we at?
Zechariah 2.
Chapter 2, verse 9.
Okay. All right.
It says, "For behold, I will shake my hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servants."
Okay, so who's shaking their hand at this point?
This Lord of hosts. Yes, Zechariah still talking about what the Lord told him.
Okay.
The Lord told him, "I'm gonna shake my hand at them."
Gotcha. Okay.
So it says, "For behold, I will shake my hand upon them." That's the heathens, and they shall be a spoil to their servants. And ye shall know that the Lord of hosts have sent me. So when he do that, it's gonna justify Zechariah, what he told him. Then 10 says, Zechariah talking, "Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith the Lord. And many nations shall be joined unto the Lord in that day, and shall be my people, and I will
That's
be
where it got me right there.
Right. So that's still Zechariah still talking based on what the Lord told him.
Okay.
Right. Right. And then 12. And the Lord shall inherit Judah, his portion, in the Holy Land, and shall choose Jerusalem again. Be silent, O all flesh, before the Lord, for he is raised up out of his habitation. So Zechariah is actually informing them based on what the Lord told him.
What the Lord of hosts have told him. Okay.
So actually what I'm saying is, this is a prime example. See, he prophesying. Because this ain't happened yet. He telling them this what the Lord told me is gonna happen. So that goes back to the book. When Gabriel told Daniel, it was me and your Lord, your Prince Michael, looking on this book. And they coming from looking on that book and dealing with Yahweh and coming and telling these prophets what's gonna happen. That's what a prophecy is.
And we're talking about the scripture of truth in heaven, right?
Right. Yeah.
Book. Okay.
Yeah, scripture of truth, right. Okay. That's how you know if somebody sent him or not.
Okay. All right. So that makes sense to me. I guess I was getting twisted because at first up in I guess between 1 and 4, that there he said that an angel spoke unto him.
Right.
So I thought that angel still was present in those succeeding verses 8 through 13.
No, when he said, "Thus says the Lord," he already telling you as an angel talk to him. Because he quoted what the angel told him. That's why he said, "Thus says the Lord." That's another reason why you know the New Testament is fraudulent, because they don't never say that.
Right.
Paul don't never say, "Thus says the Lord." He talking off the top of his head from what he didn't concoct.
Now they say a voice from the sky came to me.
Right.
A voice from way yonder. They never identify who the voice is.
Right.
Anybody could be saying something to you.
Right. Right. What you got, Lamar?
Hey, I was gonna ask you that about salvation.
Right.
Like when he told salvation is something we can see, though, ain't it?
Oh yeah. Salvation is let me give you an example of that. This salvation right here.
Because see, I was reading Exodus 14:13 when Moses told them to stand still and see the salvation.
Right, exactly. That was at the Red Sea.
Right.
So what he doing? Saving them from the Pharaoh's army, getting ready to come kill them.
So that's seeing the actions of his works.
Right.
Of the Lord of hosts' works. You watch the salvation part. So it could be something felt, something seen.
Right.
Some anticipate. You anticipating. If you got zeal for the Most High, then you anticipating He gonna come and deliver you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So the Christians got a whole different.
Right. Exactly. That's the point I keep on showing. Everything they gave you is opposite of what our culture and what our understanding was.
Right. But
they say his salvation is in JC.
Right.
Right.
And when He deliver us out of this place, that's gonna be salvation.
Right. Exactly.
Hey guys, the way I see that is that salvation comes in one or two forms, or in both. You could either be delivered, as they were at the Red Sea in that instance, or you can be redeemed, as Leonard pointed out in scriptures where we have bought our freedom.
Right.
So salvation could come in either a deliverance or a redemption.
Right. Exactly. Right. So a prime example of that what you was talking about, Lamar, is Isaiah chapter 60.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start reading in verse 1. Then you can see it.
All right.
It says, "Arise and shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, darkness shall cover the earth, gross darkness the people, but the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and the kings to thy brightness of thy rising. Lift up thine hands round about and see, all they that gather themselves together, they come to thee. Thy son shall come from afar, and thy daughter shall be nursed upon thy side. Then, right here, then thou shalt see, and flow together, and thine heart shall fear and be enlarged, because of the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee."
Right.
So all this that we see the Gentiles got is going to be converted over to us.
Right.
That's the salvation right there, because that's where they got it from. When the Antioch Epiphanies came and ran us out.
Right.
They got our culture and our wealth and everything. And so it's just being all the Lord of hosts doing is coming back and setting everything back in order the way it was, saving us and redeeming us.
So Leonard, this day comes before the day of judgment, right? The things that's happening here in Isaiah 60. That comes before the day of judgment.
Right. It's like I was talking. I was on another line. I was talking about that's already happening. If you start looking around, that's one of the things I keep on mentioning. Notice how all of a sudden, like with over in Great Britain, Prince Harry stood up and said that he's no longer going to tolerate racism amongst the black athletes in Great Britain. And the same thing happened over here. All of a sudden, there's a light being shined on the atrocities that they was doing back in the past to us, and they starting to stand up and saying they're not allowing it to happen no more. So we can see the light being starting to be shined on us, and that's where all this extreme racism coming from, because they see that, and they ain't willing to submit to it. But they looking at the brightness of our rise, and they're looking at it. They see the dynamics has changed. And that's what's bringing it. It's the same, like I was saying before, it's the same as when Moses came. You know, they was doing us any kind of way, but when Moses showed up and told them what Lord host told them, tell them, I'm here now, let them go. So the Pharaoh turned around and said, you know, now I want you to make brick without straw, because he seen his time was up, and it was, he even got notified that it's time for the Israelites to be released and to go.
So all forms of melanin is starting to wake up.
Right. And that's where this extreme racism coming from, because they're looking at that. They want to be able to do like they did before, but they can't, because the Most High changed the dynamics. You can't.
You know, making America great again.
Right. Exactly.
Nah.
So that's why we see so many Karen and Ken episodes.
They're reaching out.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. They're doing all kinds of stuff because they can't. You know, like I said, they have a violent streak that's in them, that's born in them, and they've been able to play that out up until recently. Now they can't play that out no more. That's where back to that, when you start talking about the critical race theory, it's a light being shined on now. We know that people, and a lot of people didn't know. They didn't know about Black Wall Street and what happened. But now we found out it's about 600-700 Black Wall Streets. And where it comes from is that innate anger and animalistic characteristics that they have within them. And they've been acting it out. Now they can't act it out because it's everything I know. We got laws in place, and they can't do that no more. So they doing all. That's what the January 6th was all about. If it had been 60 years later, they would have burnt the White House down. But that environment didn't change. The Most High is flipping that environment.
Yeah, they showing who they are.
Right, they're showing who they are, exactly.
And don't trust your enemies. I mean, he called them our enemies for a reason.
Exactly. Right. Okay. Anybody got anything else on that? Okay, so yeah, so like I was saying, I was going to deal with two things. Let me put this up here right quick. It says Daniel 12:1, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, was standing for the children of our people. Right. That's our salvation right there. So we see right here, I was telling you about two things that's manifesting itself right now. It's tied to what we're talking about. The first one I want to talk about is this. It's a chaos going on with this. You know, this is a capitalistic system. It was set in place through transatlantic slave trade and through cotton and all that when they brought us over here. That's how the place became what it is today. So that's all being challenged right now. I'm gonna play this right quick. And so they pay attention to that, but most of us, we don't, because we're not benefiting from it. We don't pay attention to it. So here we go. And remember a couple of months ago how that ship got lodged over there in they still haven't recovered from that.
For the past 12 months, global supply chains have been facing a crippling shipping crisis that's only become more acute. But now, global traders are extremely alarmed about the proportion of the chaos the world is about to experience, as a new round of lockdowns is severely aggravating the logjam of bulk ships and containers in Asian ports. Since 2020, a critical shortage of shipping containers has been causing massive delays in the delivery of imported goods from China to Europe and the United States, which has resulted in widespread shortages and rising prices for businesses and consumers. Today, we are still feeling the impacts of the latest supply chain disruption, when one of the largest container...
When you say the forces of the Gentiles shall be converted unto thee, this is what the forces of the Gentiles is right here. big system they set in place, this monopoly goods and all this stuff going all over the place. That we outside of this. That's the reason why we don't have nothing, because we outside of this.
The ships in the world, the Ever Given, got stuck in the Suez Canal, blocked the key trading route for almost an entire week. That incident alone delayed the delivery of nearly 12% of all products traded globally and sparked a loss of $9 billion a day. But again, businesses and consumers have to brace themselves for yet another shipping crisis. More shortages and more expensive products, as a virus outbreak in southern China is interrupting port services and delaying deliveries. While the rest of the world bounces back from the health crisis, Asia.
So who's the number one shipper of all these goods?
China.
Okay, so when we was in Egypt, and what did the Egyptians depend on? What was their number one source they depended on?
Hebrews.
The Nile River, right?
The Nile River. Okay, I see what you said. Nile River.
What do you do to the Nile River?
Turn to the blood.
Turn to blood. So China the number one distributor of things. So you think it's a coincidence? He over there beating up China? Come on.
Wow.
He done brought the virus to that area.
Yeah, he brought it over there. Ain't no different than what he did in Egypt. Okay.
Countries are seeing a third wave of virus cases that is seemingly much worse than the previous ones. In the Chinese province of Guangdong, a sudden uptick in new infection cases was recorded during the past week. In response, authorities have decided to completely shut down districts and completely shut down businesses to prevent the virus from spreading uncontrollably. However, major Chinese ports are currently halted, which has been jacking up already soaring shipping costs as waiting times at berth skyrocketed, according to analysts in the shipping industry. The disruptions in Shenzhen and Guangzhou are absolutely massive. Alone, they would have an unprecedented supply chain impact, said Brian Glick, founder and CEO at supply chain integration platform Chain.io, in an interview with CNBC. In addition to the challenges the global supply chains have already been facing throughout this year, shipping is in absolutely uncharted waters, stressed Glick. Many other industry specialists have also been sharing their concerns about the effects the new outbreak will have on international trade.
So what you, like I was telling you about, when you get the bigger picture and you actually see what's happening. So this outside of this, a system that's been in place for the longest. Okay, I showed you the Road and Belt initiative that they already bringing that in place. It's almost in place. That's what they doing over here. These bankers, they shutting this down, and they want to take it over there and start the same thing they were doing, but it's going to be over there in Africa, back over there. That's the y'all doing that. They thinking they're gonna end up doing something else. They're gonna get the same results from what they done before, but y'all got them doing that. They're being played.
So they're putting it in place for us for when we arrive.
Right, but they think that, like I said, they think it's business as usual for them. They didn't rule, even though they got our records. They've been doing so long. They didn't just rule out Lord of hosts and Yah in heaven. Ain't no heaven. They didn't rule that out.
They too big to fail. That's what they thinking.
Right, exactly.
According to Zheng Jiwei, chief economist at Pinpoint Asset Management, considering Guangdong province plays a critical role in the global supply chain, the risk of supply chain disruption is higher than ever, and it'll cause export prices and shipping costs to rise even further. J.P. Wiggins, the vice president of corporate development at shipping software firm.
Okay.
So that ship, the largest ship they have out of all the shipping vessels, the largest one's coincidentally blocked the entire Suez Canal. That was not a coincidence.
Right. And like I said, just so happened the number one distributor of all these, who's doing all this trading, that's what the virus had. Okay, so yeah, but that goes, yeah, that's something.
Warned that the port logjam in China will spark many more problems on the U.S. supply chains because many of the affected shipments are destined for North America. Expect shortages and out of stock of all the Asian-made products, he alerted. Spiking shipping costs have been a direct effect of the closure of the Chinese ports, but higher freight costs are plaguing the industry since the burst of the sanitary outbreak, skyrocketing by almost 300% over the past 18 months. Small and medium-sized businesses that managed to navigate through the recession are now facing extra hardships to send their products overseas as they can't afford the exorbitant freight rates. Many small and mid-sized shippers are throwing up their hands as the cost of shipping is surpassing the margins on the products they're trying to move, Glick explained. Shipping costs are at all-time highs, with anecdotal quotes coming in at 5 to 10 times historical norms. We've broken through so many price ceilings that nobody can say where this will peak, he highlighted. On the same note, Wiggins exposed that since rates are fluctuating wildly, he is advising shippers to plan on spending twice as much they normally would because it's unclear where prices are going. A recent paper released by Drip Capital titled The Global Shipping Crisis described the detrimental impact of the rising tide of freight costs on small and medium-sized businesses, noting that this extremely competitive environment is burdening these companies with dramatically higher costs and threatening the existence of millions of small businesses around the world. In a recent statement, Pushkar Mukwar, co-founder CEO Drip Capital, said the lack of containers doesn't just increase logistics costs, but it also affects small and medium enterprises' capabilities to fulfill orders and delays payment cycles while stressing their margins. If this issue continues, consumer-led economies are likely to scout for alternative markets with shorter trade routes to cut losses. This could severely harm businesses who are already battling with the health crisis-led economic crisis. The study also outlined how the shipping crunch will likely result in an uneven post-outbreak economic recovery for the world's largest importing and exporting countries. The primary pillars of the crisis are significant fall in the availability of containers, reduced workforce, fewer shipping vessels operating, and erratic movements in demand for various commodities.
Right. So what we're looking at right here is this how we're gonna leave here, right here. But like I said, but you're looking at this. I'm gonna play something else in a minute, but you got to keep in mind too the debt rate that we in, our debt. So the guy just said that this the big timers right here that this affecting, but it's a trickle effect, and it's the average everyday Caucasian and European that you see every day. When they say that they have like a 70 or 75% jump on us as far as we might have 14. It might be $14,000 in our household, whereas they got 350,000 in their household. That's the reason they're having it. So this right here is putting a crunch on them. They seeing that, and at the same time they see us rising. That's where this crazy racism starting to come from out of the blue, from nowhere. They're attacking black men and black people in the streets and shooting them in the streets because of we're not paying attention to this. We're not feeling the crunch of this because we ain't involved in it. But they feeling the crunch of it. They see that everything is falling apart for them, and not only that, they see all these laws being passed and how they starting to protect the black man and starting to come out and lift him up. So they ain't going for it. So go ahead. What you got?
And the crazy part about it is, in some of these neighborhoods and places and stuff like that, if you want to get some work done around your house, and they won't even take your money.
Right.
That's
Right.
just how deep their hate and
Yeah, right.
as if money
Right.
is a racial issue.
Right. It's local. That's what I'm saying. Just when we look at these containers and these shipping containers, that's on the high seas. But because of the cost of it and all that is affecting them locally, that's what we come in at, and then so they don't want to deal with us. They don't want to have nothing to deal with us. They see us rising up, and they see how things ain't like they was before, and they got a serious problem with it. So you know what I'm talking about right here. It's on a local level. If you haven't been paying attention to it, you need to start paying attention to it.
Today we're going to be talking about the trucking industry and some very serious issues that are happening inside of it. Now, we've reported this before, but actually I've got a great email that was sent to me from one of you. I cannot get over how amazing my subscribers are. I thank you so much. Sorry if I'm moving around and the camera autofocuses. I've been trying to get it to change, but I can't get it to change. So here we go. I've been in the trucking industry for over 30 years. Actually, let me preface this real quick, guys. I want you to stick around to the end for my thoughts. I'm going to read through this fully and then give you my thoughts on the industry. But this has to do with a lot of regulation and things that are affecting the trucking industry. And even if you're not in the trucking industry, you should be hearing this as an investor. And even if you're not an investor, someone that's preparing for harder times, as you can see, this email shows you the writing on the wall. What's about to happen?
So that's the whole world. They like I said, we ain't doing it. There's a few blacks doing it now and starting to do it, but they got investments. They investing. Then they like I said, they got these small businesses, and then they tied to all this stuff that's going on. This their world, and it's falling apart. And the stress of that is they retaliating and coming against us because of.
Hey, Leonard. Coincidentally, my wife and I went to go help our daughter shop for another car, and where we went, the car dealership we went to was like, it's pretty empty out here. And one of the things he said is like that the cars for his lot is still off on a coast somewhere, and they can't get anybody to deliver them to them, but they're there. But there's even a halt on trucks. Whoever's controlling this are delaying the trucks delivering cars to the car dealerships, which you see in the news, all the car prices being jacked up. No, it's just somebody along the way stopped it. And this guy we went to, it was a family-owned car dealership, so they're getting hit hard.
Right.
Kenny, funny you say that because it's the same way here in Vegas.
Right.
It's not a bunch of new cars on the lot. It's
right.
Same inventory.
And the crazy part about it, they're here, but somebody's keeping the trucks from moving.
Right. They can't afford it. They can't afford the cost of overhead.
There's a big shortage on drivers.
Right.
To deliver, because also here we have a gas shortage. Part of the town has no gas. You got to go to a different part of town to get gas.
Right.
Time for you to leave Vegas, brother.
And the thing about it is, it's gonna only get worse. It ain't gonna, it's gonna get worse. That's what and they looking at that. They seeing it, and now even as we speak, there are all 50 states. It's got that variant in those states now.
Right.
So what we dealt with last year, this time is right back again. So it ain't looking good for them. They looking at that, and they are spazzing out on it.
Exactly. They starting to spaz out again. But fortunately, Kenny, I'm in the part of town that do have the gas for now.
Okay, I was about to fly my helicopter out there.
I would appreciate you, brother. I know who to call there.
Right. Play a little more of this right here.
Issues, all kinds of things that are happening, and it's happening this summer.
Can you turn up just a little bit more, Leonard?
That's loud as it go.
Dispatcher, hiring, firing, diesel mechanic.
Okay.
I'm truly a hands-on owner. Hell, I even wash and polish the trucks. We run top-notch, totally restored trucks from the 80s and 90s, all of which I've restored personally. Our company is far from the norm. We make a statement of professionalism and pride. Good, bad, and indifferent. I know every bit about it. I'm very up to date on new regulations that affect the industry. If half of the new proposed insurance regulations pass, it will practically destroy most of the small carriers like myself. Simply can't afford the 100% increase in costs, plus the AB5. Half of my fleet is owner operators. They own and run their own trucks they lease to my company. I simply give them work, 1099s. Simple. AB5 will force me to lose these owner operators. Newer trucks are loaded with the DEF and regen pollution systems. Constant breakdowns, truck shops are overloaded with repairs. Can't get diesel mechanics or parts. Drivers quit because if they aren't turning, they aren't earning. That's why I run cool, older, paid-for trucks. Any truck after the year 2000 must have a E-log. Notice I have older trucks. I'm exempt. This tracks.
Okay, so that was this video right here is trucking and supply chain breakdown from employment shortages and regulations to inflation. So if you want to watch that, so yeah, so all this stuff is happening. Like I said, we because of we never was really involved in it. We ain't paying attention to it, but yeah, it's going down. Most High got his hand on this whole thing, and we're at the verge of being delivered. I don't know I don't know if y'all know about it, but I was just before I met y'all, when I first had started, was they said the UN secretary came out and said that they condemned America for all the atrocities that they'd done during the transatlantic slave trade and what they did to African Americans, and they told them they need to fix it, So now they came out again the second time, recently, about a couple of weeks ago, and said the same thing. So that's what I'm talking about they looking at that and they seeing, so they knowing that this is gonna happen. And like I said, that the average person, you be crazy to go stay here. When they do happens, people leaving here, they ain't staying here. And that's gonna be the final nail in the coffin when that happens, because this place is gonna be in total chaos.
And don't forget about the stock market.
Right, exactly. All that's tied to it. Yeah, it's all tied to it.
When it popped, Esau gonna show up cut up.
Oh yeah, exactly. Right.
And they started that, Leonard, from when they go to these UN meetings and they get on their high horse and talk about savage countries and stuff like that, but not real. The savagery is here in the United States.
Right. Exactly.
But the ISIS, the Al Qaeda, and they're such beast and horrible people. But we going through this stuff every day here.
Right. Exactly.
And that provoked those people to speak about what you just said. Hey, you guys, we tired of seeing y'all get up here and talk all this, but you treat your very own people the same way.
Right. That's what all these other countries are saying, because they're trying to come out like I said, it's not business as usual. They used to say stuff and get away with it because of those other countries were sitting there depending on them, but they the ones in the worst position than anybody, because they got this horrible debt, and then we see their whole economical system is deteriorating. So the people saying you ain't got nothing to say. You haven't fixed that problem you did with those African Americans with the transatlantic slave trade. So you can't talk to nobody about no human rights until you fix that. And that's where we at. And they looking at it. It's got to happen.
And the United States is at the point where it is not able to self-sustain itself, because we're getting all our our products from other countries and burn up California where you and places like that where you produce a lot of the agricultural foods that we need. Now we're getting them from other countries. You guys got yourself in such a hole. You depended on other countries, and in my country, you call my country for your strawberries or something.
Right. Exactly. That's all over. Even the restaurants. They don't. All the restaurants is either Korean, Mexican, or it's some other nation food that we run to their restaurants because we Americans so lazy. It's, they run there to get their food. The Mexicans making a killing now with those Mexican restaurants. They're all over the place. So yeah.
And yeah, Leonard, not only did they see what happened during the transatlantic slave trade, but everything that has happened since then, they have seen the injustices against our people that these other countries have noticed and taken note of.
Right, exactly. Right. And everybody watching.
Right.
Everybody watching.
So how can you come to me and tell me about what we doing to our protesters when your people in the street protesting, you shooting them down like dogs in the street?
Exactly. Right. Been doing it. Right. And then that's was really wreaking havoc on them is all this information that's coming out about Black Wall Street and all these different things. So it's no excuse. They wanted you to think that we are people that can't come together and can't make nothing happen. But now they found out that they've been targeting us all this time. The reason why we're in the predicament we in. Every time we stick our head out, they chop it out. And that's what the whole world has found out. So yeah. Okay, something. So with that being said, that was my first conversation I wanted to bring up. And this next one is it's sort of a question. If anybody want to attack it, and then I'm gonna go into some information. The transatlantic slave trade, is it in the Bible? Is anybody familiar with that? Is the transatlantic, what happened with the transatlantic slave trade, is it in the Bible?
Isn't that
I would say Deuteronomy 28 and 68, huh?
Okay, so why you say
that? Because it was saying that you would go to Egypt again in ships, right. And there no man will will redeem you.
Right. So let's look at that. Yeah, this is another one of those things that, like I said, I go along when you teaching and waking people up, and it's certain things you just have to go along with till you get to a certain place, and then you start bringing them out. So, what you're saying is tied to Genesis chapter 15. Let's go there.
You said Genesis 15?
Right. Okay. I'm gonna play a couple of videos in a minute, but I'm just
Well, see, I know where you're going to in this one, and I didn't heard both sides of the argument on this, where the 400 years was the 400 years in Egypt, and then some say the 400 years is the 400 years in this land.
Right, exactly. Right, that's my point. So you're saying right here,
right?
Right, it says in verse 14, and also that nation, 13 says, and she said unto Abraham, know for surely that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and they shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Right? So the big thing is that when you go to the scriptures, they was in the Israelites was in Egypt 430 years. So they're saying that this prophecy right here, that right here was given to Abraham right here in chapter 15 is not Egypt. It happened in America, right? So my question, like I said, the question is the Arab slave trade in the Bible, right?
Yes.
So how long was the Arab slave trade?
I can't say 100% how long it was, but people get this this notion that when you say, as far as biblically, that 400 years is a concrete 400 years. Some of this stuff, it could be 400 years, but it can take 30 years for it to manifest itself.
Right, exactly. Right, exactly. But we know the Most High have a start time and a stop time on it when he have a prophecy, and he precise with it. So the Arab slave trade lasted 1,000 years. So at least 1,000 years. So you got the Arab slave trade 1,000 years, and then you got the transatlantic slave trade that started in 1619, and we still in it right now. That's 400 years, 400 plus years. So that's 1,400 years. So that ain't that's not Genesis 15. We're gonna deal with that in a minute. So
right. And Genesis 15:13 say the affliction is gonna last 400 years.
Yeah, that would get me, that word afflict.
It says will afflict them.
Right. So when you go back and do, well, we're gonna look at some of it now, but when you go back and do your history on it, which is I advise everybody to do, go back and do the history on the Arab slave trade. It's still going on. These Americans ain't did half the stuff the Arabs was doing to us before we came here. Matter of fact, the Arabs, since they had already been doing it, that's the transatlantic slave trade just connected to the Arab slave trade. If you go back and look at any of the pictures and the images, you're gonna see the guys that's bringing them to the seashore. They got on the turbans. They are Muslim, black Muslim. So anyway, let's play this right here.
Greetings again today with you. So I want to people talk about the enslavement of Europeans. Sorry, the enslavement of Africans by Europeans. I want people understand, at least not understand, but hear something that relate to how the British come here and the Spaniards come in the Caribbean here and take away. They take away from Africa and bring on here to them sugar cane and them cotton. But there is a part of slavery that is always.
Yeah, this guy Jamaican. Y'all understand what he's saying? Do y'all understand what he's saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it have nothing to do with white people. It has something to do with the Arabs. The Arab slave trade. The Arab slave trade lasts longer than the white people slave trade. And you hardly hear about that, and maybe because I only for black people see themselves as Muslim, why them talk less of it. Now we know that the Portuguese was in Africa, and the Portuguese in Africa is a really serious problem because even Christopher Columbus, our people don't know this, but Christopher Columbus was one of the sailors on the Portuguese ship who got into Africa. And there is a pathway to Europe that no one spoke of and speak of when they talk about enslavement of black people. And that is the trek across the Sahara Desert into Europe, into what they call Southern Europe. Them used to take our ancestors, chain them up and carry them across the desert and carry them into France and all the other places. So it's not every African who was enslaved they come to this part of the world. No, sir. A whole heap away. They go across the Sahara Desert. But even within that, before the Europeans go there, the Arabs then take hold of it because they were spreading them Islamic religion. And most of North Africa get caught in that Islamic religion. To the point where you have Africans now give up them Africanness and most talk about Islam. As a matter of fact, a whole lot of these Africans call anybody who was like Muslims infidels. Can you believe that? Infidels. That means if he's not Muslim, whether you're black or whatsoever, you're supposed to dead. Yes, that is really the cry. of Muslims, of Islam across Northern Africa. And we say right now the Arabs take over the whole of Northern Africa. And a whole heap of people believe, say, Egypt, when we talk about Egypt and them to the people, them can't picture that. It's not so the original Kemetic people, them they look. Because the majority of Arabs don't live in Arabia. The majority of Arabs live in Egypt. And they colonize Northern Africa, go right into Mali. Right into Mali. And they leave them devastation there. And you have some black people who rise up called the Moors. And the Moors go into a place named Granada, inside of Spain, and was giving them high culture. That our Europeans them. If you have this name Bardo, I don't know if I pronounce it right, Bardo, in France. Most of the street them and the building them was built by African people. The mosaic and all these things was built by African people who them called Moors, the black ones. Yet still, the Moors never see themselves as African. They see themselves as Muslims. And when them reach across to the west of Africa, they never feel no way to take the so-called African people who was not Muslims and give to the white people them. Because even today, if you go into Jamaica, in a Morto, a lot of Arab language is in, even the greeting Salam Alaikum. Salam Alaikum is found amongst the Muslims, the Maroons in a Morto. And you wonder how the Maroons get that, because the Arabic culture was deep into West Africa. Deep, when we say deep, mean deep. I remember I said them they did it long before.
So you see what he said. He said the Arabic culture was deep into West Africa. So the Arabs, like I said, is deep into West Africa. That's where Negro land at. That's where Israelites is at. That's where they fled to when they left back in 143 BC, like I said. So it's these Arabs that's persecuting them for 1,000 years before the transatlantic slave trade, and even to the day. So if you haven't seen it, go do some research and some videos on how they treat those. They still doing it today. They kick them in the head, beat them, and so he was telling you how they was tracking them across the Sahara Desert, and on the other side of the Sahara Desert is Europe. They was tracking them across the Sahara Desert, but this is what they was doing. They had chopped their head off. They have 10, 15 people with them, and two of them slowing them up. They come back there and chop their head off with a sword. So say, what are you talking about? Well, that's the beheading. That's the beheading that was going on right there. But they stuck it over in the New Testament. That's all they saw all along that trade route was people being bodies laying there was beheaded. They were chopping Israelites' heads off if they fell weak or got sick and slowed them up. Like I say, go check it out. So this is what I want to show you right here, though. So who is these Arabs? Okay, right here it says, I'm in Jasher. Book of Jasher, and it says, no, not Jasher. It's Jubilees. It's the book of Jubilees. Jubilees chapter 20. And I'm gonna start reading at verse 10. Jubilees 20 and starting at 10. It says, you will be for a blessing on the earth, and all nations of the earth will desire you and bless your sons in my name, that they may be blessed as I am. He gave to Ishmael. So this when Isaac was getting ready to Abraham was getting ready to pass. See, and he gave Ishmael and his sons, and it says, and he gave to Ishmael and to his sons, the sons of Kakuk, this Abraham's other wife he married after Sarah died, gifts and sent them away from Isaac, his son, and he gave everything to Isaac, his son, Ishmael and his sons, and the sons of Kukuk. See that? Ishmael and his sons, Ishmael had 12 sons, just like Jacob did. And the sons of Kukuk and their sons went together and settled from Paran to the borders of Babylon and all the land that is toward the east, facing the desert. Look at this. See that? These mingled together. So these Abraham children, they all mingled together, intermarried with each other, and their names were called Arabs. Look at that. Arabs and Ishmaelites. So let's say, what are you talking about? Well, let's go to Psalms 87, Psalms 83. And then Psalms 83. So this is a family thing. That's the reason why it's so brutal. So, I'm in Psalms. Psalms 83. So it says, Psalms 83 says, keep not silent, O God, hold not thy peace. Be not still, O Lord, for lo, thy enemies make a tumult. They that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted with thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may no more be in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They, see that? We just saw who it was all the sons that could cook and Ishmael came intermingled together. Abraham only gave them gifts, but Isaac and Isaac eventually had Jacob. He gave them Jacob, Ishmael, Isaac everything he had, but he gave them other boys gifts. So it's a problem right there. So then 5 says, for they have consulted together on one consent. They are confederate against thee, against the Israelites. Here we go. We're gonna name them. The tabernacle of Edom. That's family. Edom, Ishmaelites, Moab. Moab is Lot's son. And the Hagarine, Gebal, Ammon. Ammon is Lot's son. Amalek, that's Ishmael's son. So these are all family members. That's who these Arabs is. So this lasted for 1,000 years. Contrary to before transatlantic slave trade. So I asked the question, was it in the Bible? Right? So I'm in Hosea chapter 6. This is what these people have done to us. So I'm in Hosea chapter 6. Chapter 6, verse 1 says, come and let us return unto the Lord, for he hath torn, and he will heal us. He hath smitten, he will bind us up. After 2 days will he revive us. In the 3rd day he will raise us up, and we shall live in his sight. So how long is 2 days? Is the Lord.
2,000 years.
Is it transatlantic slave trade and the Arab slave trade in that? Is both of them included in that?
I would say yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But you can't put the Arab slave trade and the transatlantic slave trade inside of the prophecy in Genesis 15. But it fits right here perfect.
Right.
And so, like I was saying before, we read where Isaiah said 60 that rise and that time has come. Well, we see it. We rising. So we in the 3rd day. I just read in Hosea, it says, verse 2, 2 days, after 2 days will he revive us. In the 3rd day, he will raise us up. That's what we're looking at right now. That's what all this stuff that's going on. The Israelites is rising and being lifted up. So one more precept, because this precept is never understood if you don't understand what's being conveyed right now. So I'm in Isaiah Isaiah chapter 52. 52, last 3 verses, 13, 14, and 15. The suffering, this is suffering servant, the suffering of the Lord's servant. So we know who the suffering servant is. 13 says, behold, my servant shall deal prudently. He shall be exalted and extolled and be very high. That's what we're looking at. He's being exalted. He's being Israelites being raised back up. 14, as many were astonished at thee. His vestes were so marred more than any man, and his form more than the sons of man. That's the African American. That's us. 15, so shall he sprinkle many nations. The kings shall shut their mouths at him, right? That's all the kings, all these countries. For that which had not, see that? Had not been told them, shall they see. And that which they had not heard, shall they consider. Ain't that where we at?
Yes, sir.
They ain't heard this. What's coming out now, they ain't heard this. This ain't been told to them. Now that we in the latter days, and the Most High is back on the move, now they got to consider all this. Now the truth coming out. Okay? Yeah. So
do you think they really considering it right now, or are they still ignoring it?
Well, they have to consider it, because if you sit there and think about, we supposed to be as a people, all the things that happen to us, we don't even supposed to be here, right?
Oh yeah, all the atrocities that have happened to us.
Right,
yeah,
right.
We shouldn't be existing as a people.
Right, but we here, and not only that, we rising. So they got to consider it, because they say, what they say. This ain't in the King James.
And
talk about this.
And these other nations that's getting on to nations like the United States, the higher the ones who are in these meetings and conveying this, bring this back to our country. This is what they said in the UN. Yeah, they're considering it.
Right.
And so yeah, they are actually, because it's being addressed each time they have these meetings. And
right. I do see that, Kenny, that the UN is talking about the reparations for the black man and woman in America.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But I was really trying to focus more on other nations and governments.
Right.
Well, yeah, because that's another that's a definitely yes, because of the what's his name, the George, and how all the other countries are protesting. The George, what's his name? What have you said, Joker last name?
George Floyd.
Yeah. If you Google other nations and protesting the George Floyd, you see a lot of other countries having not like 2 or 3. They have a mass groups of up to several thousand people protesting in these countries.
Right. And that protest is going through a lot of countries for different reasons. So a lot of countries are protesting.
Right.
So that could be a part of them coming into knowledge about this truth about who the true chosen people of the Most High is.
Right.
Because when you got in a country that's predominantly one, like for example, India, and you got a picture of a black dude from the hood, and you out there in the streets protesting, the work is being done.
Right, exactly. So yeah. So let me play this right here, just because this playing into this was just happened this morning. Matter of fact, this was because they're on a different timeline than we. And this happened this morning, man. And like I said, if this ain't part of Isaiah 60, then I don't know what is. So here we go.
It's a self-hate. It's a problem of self-hate which was instilled in us by our colonizers, because what colonizers do, they make you in their image. So black as you are, you think you're British, you are white, that's why your English must be this polished and be closer to them, because they've made you in their image. Not only that, even gave you their language. And anything else that doesn't look like your colonizer is not an appealing thing. It's not right.
Is an Africa that is going to be a strong participant in the world. When we say that Africa must be great, we are not saying that Africa must be great that she may conquer anybody. That is not the business of Africa. We are saying that Africa must be great so that she can participate in the affairs of the world on an equal footing with the others. And she can. If everything eluded us, let us be participants in the new revolution. The nanotechnology that we talk about, let us be partakers of it. We now have software engineers, we have doctors, we have people who are technically savvy. Come and help the continent of Africa. Come and redefine the continent of Africa. It is waiting to be redefined, and we all must participate in that grand agenda. And it will be
see, calling us home, back to the African continent, back to the plate, African plate.
Well with us. Because if we don't define Africa, then we will be defined by others. And when you are defined by others, then you lose your humanity. And when you lose your humanities, you become a thing. And when you become a thing, you'll be abused and be humiliated. Choose you now, whether you want to be human beings or you want to be things. God bless.
First you dig a hole, then put wood in the rock.
Those were some powerful words, though.
That's root cause number 2. Root cause number 3, in my humble opinion. Have you ever wondered why African countries are given these frivolous loans with very high interest rates? The same loan given to African countries will pay 15 to 20% interest rate. Western countries are paying 1 to 2%, sometimes less than 1%. As far as I know, you can count on one hand at any given time the number of African countries that have defaulted on their loan repayments. Why is it then countries that have never defaulted on their loan repayments continue to be given huge interest rates by these financial institutions such as the World Bank, the IMF, the Paris Club, many other international organizations and institutions? Of course, now we have Chinese. It's all by design to keep African countries chasing our tails. It is all by design because, remember, the Bretton Woods institutions, they were designed with the simple premise that their success is based on our failure. Their success is based on our failure. So it is, as we speak, the average African country spends over a third of her GDP on loan repayment. Over a third on loan repayment. The financial system, the global financial system, is skewed against the development of Africa, all by design. It must be disrupted. What saddens me, however, currently, when you run into Africans born in Africa who now work for the World Bank, they're the same ones being sent to Africa and push those bad policies that are detrimental to the continent. Why is it the children of Africa who should be defending Africa, defending these bad policies, why are they the ones pushing them? It goes back to the mind. You see, I got my job in Washington, D.C., And I want to stay in Washington. So I'm just going to push any agenda that I'm given. It is sickening. Because before they used to chain us. But now we are chaining ourselves. I saw it firsthand. Africans working for the World Bank, they're the ones being sent to Africa, manufacturing some medication. And she had made a trip all the way from Africa to come and explain to the powers that be that this is what we would like to do and we need your permission. My question to her was, why? She said, my sister, if we don't do this, Big Pharma will come after us and we'll never be able to do anything. I'm saying this to say, my brothers and sisters, as we strategize to really build a sustainable Africa, we must understand the root causes of what is really going on that is never talked about. The World Trade Organization policies, they too must be disrupted as a matter of urgency. Until we do, value addition to our natural resources is only going to be a dream. Value addition to our natural resources by the Africans, for the Africans, is a threat to the Western world. Let's make no mistake about it. They know it. And they are going to fight us. You be prepared to fight back. The way you fight back is through knowledge. Now you have it. Disrupt the World Trade Organization and its policies that are skewed against Africa. Root cause number 5.
Okay. So they keep on, she keep on saying, all three of them telling us to come home, right? So why are they saying that? Okay, I'm over here in Jeremiah 29. This is the promised return of Israel. Remember where they got us from. They got us from the west coast of Africa. We fled over there, 143 BC. Then they came and caught up with us. The prophecy of Deuteronomy 28 caught up with us on the west coast. And they brought us over here. So it says, Jeremiah 29:10, this is a promised return. For thus says the Lord, that after 70 years be accomplished at Babylon, I will visit you and perform my good word towards you and causing you to return to this place, right? So this actually, the prophecy is about the 70 years they was in Babylon, but nothing new under the sun. The Most High worked the same way. So he says in 11, for I know thy thoughts that I think toward you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. 12, then shall you come, call upon me, and ye shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken unto you, and ye shall seek me, right, and find me when ye shall search for me with all your heart. That's what we at now. It's a remnant that then found him, right? 14, and I will be found of you, says the Lord, and I will turn away your captivity, and I will gather you from all the nations and from all the places whither I have driven you, said the Lord, and I will bring you again into the place which I caused you to be carried away from. He was carried away from the West Coast. So that's what we're looking at. Prophecy happening right in front of our face. That's why they calling us back to Africa. We ain't Africans, but they calling us back to Africa. They ignorant to that. So they bringing us right back to the place where they got us from, and from there we go home. Beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. That's the West Coast of Africa.
Is that gonna be the wilderness, Leonard?
Well, it's the trip from West Coast of Africa home is the wilderness. Just like when they left Egypt. That trip from Egypt to get back home was a wilderness.
Right? So right. Is he gonna be purging?
So when they left, right, purging the people that's the ones that ain't right.
With that JC in the heart.
Right. JC and everything else they got you, because you got Muslims. You got a bunch of Israelites that's Muslims and dealing with Allah. You got some that's Buddhist. You got Egyptologists.
Right.
So you know that, and like I said, a lot of people ain't giving that up.
Right.
The same thing happened in Egypt.
We're gonna see a lot of our sisters and brothers perish along that way, on that journey. Yeah.
Even if they make it, even if we make it to Africa, it's still gonna be a purge.
Right. It's gonna be a purge because you know, like I said, it's nothing new under the sun. They had to come from they had to leave when they left Babylon. They had to go from Babylon to get back to the land of Israel. And we know what happened when Ezra came back. Ezra got here, they had already started intermarrying with the local people in that land. Ezra had to rent his garment.
So Leonard, so at what point do our forefathers join us in this journey? You know, the ones in Ezekiel 37 that he's going to awake from the grave.
Let's look at that. You look at Ezekiel 37. And this right here was, you know, like I said before, once the information started coming out, you know, to me it was embarrassing because you know, we ain't know that, but now we know now when scripture started coming together. You look at it. So I'm in Ezekiel 37. And like I say, Most High, he literal. So it says, let me get it. Ezekiel 37 says, so he says in we know the story in 37, 1 through 6 is I'm picking up at 6. We know about the dry bones. He asked him, can the dry bones live? I'm picking it up at verse 6. And I will lay sinew upon man, it's missing again. Let me keep on missing these pages, man. My pages keep coming out here. You have to give me another Bible. Excuse me. Hold on 1 minute.
So Leonard is saying he wore his Bible out so much the pages are coming out.
Literally.
That's about the number 10 right there. I gotta keep on putting it off. I need to go on and order another one. So I'm in let me get it right here. This is my backup. 37. So he says, I will lay sinew upon you, and I will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put my spirit in you. Says, and cover you with skin, and put breath into you, and you shall live, and you shall know that I am the Lord. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and as I prophesied, here we go right here. As I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking. See that? And bone came together, bone to his bone, right? So he tell him, when you understand what the Most High doing, he says it's gonna be a great shaking, right? Don't the whole at the end, when all this supposed to go down at the end, don't the whole earth supposed to shake?
Yes.
See that? So he says it's a behold, a shaking, a great shaking, right? See that? So, and then once that shaking happens, bone gonna come together, bone to his bone. Now, go over here to 38. It says, it says 10, 38 and 10. It says, thus says the Lord God, it shall also come to pass at that time, shall a thing come into thy mind, and thou shalt think. This will be on the west coast of Africa. We're over on the west coast of Africa. That's what they're building over there right now. We went over there, and it's got some videos on our channel where they building this Wakanda One's village, city of return. It's a village. So that's what he's telling us right here. we dwelling safely in villages, unwalled villages. So you got to go watch that video, or Google, go on YouTube and type in "Come to One Village" or "City of Return." So he says, 11, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages, and I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither walls nor gates, to take a spoil and to take a prey, and to return thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods and dwell in the midst of the land. Right? It says, this is what they're saying. So 16, and thou shalt come up against my people of Israel as a cloud to cover the land, and it shall be in the latter days, and I will bring thee against my land, and the heathen shall know me when I shall be sanctified in them, O God, before their faces. Thus says the Lord God, art thou he whom I have spoken in old times by the servants, the prophets of Israel, which prophesied in those days many years, that I will bring thee against them. And it shall come to pass at the same time, look at this, at the same time when God shall come against the land of Israel, says the Lord God, that a fury shall come up in my face, right? For in my jealousy and in the fire of my wrath have I spoken, and surely in that day there shall be a great shaking in the land of Israel. Come on now. See that? That's Ezekiel 37.
Okay, that's plain. I got it. I see what's happening.
37.
So when we get back to the land, that's going to be the great shaking.
Right.
I got it. Okay.
They're gonna come and do. They're gonna come back again and try to do what they did in 1619.
Mm-hmm.
We was dwelling over there, and they came over there and got us, brought us over here. We back over there, and the Mosai's on with us, and they gonna come back and try to spoil us again. So let's look at it. I want to make this plain. So it says, we started. I mean Ezekiel 38. And it's a verse 1 says, and the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against God, and may God, this Japhet, over in Genesis chapter 10, chief prince of Meshach, Tubal, prophesy against them, right? It says, and thus and say, thus says the Lord God, behold, I am against thee, O God, chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth. Look at this, and all thy army. So this is an army, right? It's a big army, and they coming up against Israel to spoil them, right? So now let's go back to 37. 37 in verse 10. He says, so I prophesied as he commanded me, and breath came into them, and they lived and stood upon their feet, an exceedingly great army. See that? That's our forefather. He to raise up out of their graves. And he's gonna bring this army right here against the army that's coming over to try to spoil us. That's what the great shaking is.
Okay, so that exceeding great army that the Lord of hosts gonna bring forth, are they gonna meet us on the west coast of Africa, or are they gonna wait till, or we will see them when we get back into the land of Israel?
No. We dwelling safely on the Isles. The Isles ain't in Israel. That's the west coast of Africa.
Okay.
So we dwelling safely over there. They said they're looking and seeing that we dwelling safely, so they get all together. They come to take a spoil, come to try to spoil us again. But then a great shaking happened. That's the shaking you're talking about right here. When the bones come together, bone to bone.
They're gonna try to do the Tulsa thing again.
Right. So then when you understand that, go to Malachi. The last book of the Old Testament. I'm gonna read the last chapter. So it says, for behold, the day cometh that burn like an oven, and all the proud, yea, all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, says the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch, right? Okay. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and he shall go forth and grow up as calves in a stall, and ye shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, said the Lord of hosts. Remember ye the laws of Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him in horror for all Israel with the statutes and judgments. Now here we go. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming dreadful, great and dreadful day of the Lord, right? That's when the shaking come. The army is resurrected. Then he says, 6, and he shall turn the heart of the father. That's our fathers that get resurrected out of the ground. So that's what Elijah's purpose is. He shall turn the heart of our fathers to the children. We the ones that's dwelling safely on the isles. See that? And he shall turn the heart of the fathers, that's the ones that's resurrected, to the children. Right? And the heart of the children to the fathers, unless I come and smite the earth with a curse. So let's look at it. We want to go all the way in. I got a couple minutes. So he says,
let's do it.
Verse 3 says, and he shall tread down. Look at this. He shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes. See that? Under the soles of our feet in that day when I shall do this, says the Lord. Why is he saying ashes? Well, go to Zechariah. Zechariah chapter 12.
And some of these folks over here, these Esau's over here, thinking that's why they compare it with us now, with all these weapons and stuff, thinking it's going to happen over here.
Right. That's why he said it's not giving them understanding. So I'm in chapter 12 of Zechariah. This the same army that he gonna resurrect. Verse 4 say, in that day, that's the day of the Lord, says the Lord, I will smite every horse with astonishment and his riders with madness, and I will open my eyes to the house of Judah, and I will smite every horse of the people with blindness, and the governors, that's the kings, all them dead right here. They're supposed to be, they dead, they're in the graves. These are the ones he resurrect. All the kings of Judah shall say in their hearts, the inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength, in the Lord of hosts their God. In that day I will make the governors of Judah, that's the resurrected people, like a heat of fire. See that? That's why he's saying they're going to be like ashes under their feet. See, a heat of fire among the wood, like a torch of fire in the sheath, and they shall devour all the people round about, on the right hand and on the left, and Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place. And the Lord shall also say the tents of Judah first. That's us. Over here in America. Judah came here. Said, the Lord shall say the tents of Judah first. That's the glory of the house of David, and the glory of the house of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. Then here we go right here. This the verse right here. In that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them shall be as David. Now these the people that he's going to resurrect. And the house of David shall be as God, as the angel of the Lord before them. So the angel of the Lord lit on the bush in the Exodus chapter 3 as a flame of fire. So when he resurrected all them, they're going to be like the angels. That's the army.
They're going to be in their new bodies.
Right. And that's the army that's going to come up against the
God.
Army, Magog, and burn them up. So let's one more verse, then I'll be through here. So then you
go keep going, brother. That's deep. I'm enjoying this.
So then you go to Joel. And Joel puts the nail in the coffin.
This kind of goes back to that fear they have. Like that video was put out on the group where the Esau was trying to jump on the brother at the store and said, I know you guys are strong. I heard you guys are strong. So he was describing who we are. They know who we are. And right. You just naturally strong. So I'm going to, he tried to do some karate on him. The guy just stood there.
Right.
But the stuff he was saying resonated with me, but of the perception of something they already know.
Right. Exactly. So, a lot of them don't know this. So chapter 2 of Joel, verse 1. Blow ye a trumpet in Zion, and sound the alarm in my holy mountain, and let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord coming, for it is nigh at hand. That's cause of this army I showed you. And when he resurrect them, they like the angels. They got these flames of fire, like the angels was. So 2, the day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people. It's the army in Ezekiel 37. A great people and strong that have never been in the light. Neither shall be any more after it, even to the year of many generations. A fire devour before them. That's why he said ashes under their feet. A fire devour before them, and behind them a flame burner. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, but behind them is desolate, wilderness, yea, and nothing shall escape them. This is going to open the door for us right here, this army. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, as horsemen, so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on the top of mountains shall they leap. Like the noise of the flame of fire that devour the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. That's an army. Before their face, the people shall be much pained. All faces shall gather blackness. They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the walls like men of war, and they shall march everyone in his own ways, and they shall not break their ranks. Neither shall one thrust another, and they shall walk everyone in his path. And when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. Can't kill them. They shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the walls. They shall climb upon the houses. They shall enter in at the window like a thief. Look at this. And the earth shall quake. They go to shaking. See that? The earth shall quake before them, and the heavens shall tremble, and the sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. So you notice they put this event on JC. When JC come back, all this supposed to happen. See that? 13. The earth shall quake before them, the heavens shall tremble, the sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shine. That's what they say gonna happen when JC comes. See that?
It sounds like our forefathers are gonna be like Avengers.
Oh yeah, that's
with supernatural ability.
Right.
That's who's gonna take on the new bodies, them invincible bodies.
Well, that's who's gonna free it.
What role
that's
we
gonna
have?
Oh, we just gonna sit there and watch, sucking on the snow cone. so look at this.
It's all good.
Pina colada for me.
Right. So all we got, we ain't got nothing to do. That's what I'm saying. But like I was saying before, who knows this? But it's right there in the scripture. So they whenever they go ahead.
It did say that the remnant would be like David. Can you imagine to have his ability?
Right. But so that's it's the same. It's the same as when if you go to Joshua. Remember when the Edomites came to fight against the Egyptians, but the Egyptians, they was routing the Egyptians. Then Jacob came from Goshen, and Jacob routed them, and then they seen how dangerous Jacob was. That's what told them. That's when they made a decision to make them slaves, because they said
make them slaves. Yeah.
When we get into a war, in the way they fight and they side with the other people, we're gonna be through. So let us deal wisely with them.
150 means several thousand.
Right, exactly.
So, hey, let me ask you this real quick before I lose this thought. So, is this where the world, when it talks about the world in Genesis, where the Most High says he's not going to destroy the world with war, it's going to be with fire? Is this going to be that fire?
That's the fire right here. Okay. You go to the other verse right here. Once you understand this, everything come into play. So now I'm in Obadiah. So I'm in Obadiah. You know, this is what the Edomite don't want to deal with. So I'm in Obadiah verse 17. So it said, notice what it's saying. But upon Mount Zion, this is where they at. This is where they all buried it. Remember what I showed you with Nehemiah asked the king, asked Aorus as his cupbearer, he said, how can I be happy? Or how can my countenance not be sad when my father's grave, sepulchres, lay waste? Because they knew they was going to get resurrected. And they always maintained all their father's sepulchres, their graves, knowing Ezekiel 37 was going to come and pass. So it says right here, upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance. See that? There shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess his possession, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire. See that? See, all this didn't make no sense before. But it says, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it. And they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau, and they of the plains, the Philistines, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim, and the fields of Samaria, and Benjamin shall possess Gilead. And the captivity of this host of the children of Israel shall possess that of Canaanites, even unto Zarephath. And the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Zarephath, shall possess the cities of the south. Now here you go, 21. And save yours. See that? That's why I got an S on it. Saviors shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord. That's our forefather that he done resurrected out of in Ezekiel 37. And like I said, you got all these mega pastors and rabbis for the last 400 years been preaching Ezekiel 37. You don't know what the hell they talking about. Okay. Any comments?
Well, it's not just them, you know. Some of the teachers in Israel is
teaching. Right. I'm just trying to give them a break.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You don't need a break. Don't give them nothing.
Okay.
I'm with you, Kenny. Yeah. Misleading our people, man. That is going straight.
Hebrew Christianity.
Yeah, Hebrew Christian. That's right. Let me see what he's talking about. Zechariah 14:12. We're gonna get off here. Zechariah 14:12. Says, and this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall be consumed away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall be consumed away in their holes, and their tongues shall be consumed away in their mouth. That's it. See, like I said, everything makes sense now. You couldn't rightly divide that before, but once you find out what's really going on, then all the scriptures come together, come alive. Right. So, well, I'm opening up for some comments before we go. Then we're gonna shut it down.
Lamar, you had some good questions tonight. You and Kenny, man. That y'all was on fire tonight with those questions, brother.
Thanks, bro. Y'all two was too. Great class.
Indeed.
Great class. 2 hours up already, brother?
Yeah, we are 2 hours and 4 minutes.
Sure?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So everybody good?
All good.
All good.
Okay.
Good like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Okay.
Apple jelly for me.
Right. Yeah, so I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow at
big spread, brother.
At 7 o'clock.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. Shalom, brothers.
Shalom, brothers.